We can start.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you,
we are
Maharaji.
here in
And Maharaji, when after the call, today is a very auspicious day. Today is His Grace Harila Prabhuji's birthday. So I request you, Maharaji, if after the call, when Prabhuji is joining our Zoom call, please give some blessings so his health and his please give blessings. So because his health is not good as a past few days, so we really need your blessings to Harila Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Maharaji, we can't hear you. Haribol.
That's because I'm not talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, Maharaji.
Yeah. That's from a Jackie Chan movie. Yeah. So we're here in the New Biharvan in Boise, Idaho. Boise, Idaho. You know my Southwest Airlines story? Boise, Idaho is in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And so one time when we first came here, we came on Southwest Airlines, and the plane was landing, and the steward said, "My name is Bob, and Sally and Mary have been your other stewardesses, and Captain Nelson and co-pilot Smith. Yeah, we all get off here, and this is our resting place and stuff, And so the first time we came here, we had an argument whether it was Boise or Boise or Boise. So we all got our luggage and we had it in the car. We were going to the hotel, and the first place we saw, we pulled right in, and I went right up behind the counter and I asked the man, I said, tell me very clearly, where are we? He looked at me and he said, Dairy Queen. So anyway, here we are in Boise. I guess your French is bois, Idaho. It means forest. Yeah, they love potatoes here. Okay. So today, of course, to introduce to everybody here, we're here with the
and Maharaji Harila Prabhuji also joined Zoom call. So please give some blessings. Today is Harila Prabhuji's birthday. He's there.
Okay. I couldn't understand it. Yeah. Well, what? I don't know what kind of blessing we should give here. I think that may immediately drop dead. Okay. This is and go back to Goloka. It's like that. May everybody in this class die immediately and go right to Goloka and get back to work. We've been messing around the material world long enough. But that's basically, as soon as Socrates said, as soon as we can die by Krishna's arrangement, that's the best thing to do. Yes. Everything is for that purpose.
Today I completed 80 years, Maharaj. 80. Today I completed 80 years.
Are you any wiser after 80 years?
I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah. That's what Socrates. They told Socrates he was the smartest man in Athens. And he said, there's so many people wiser than I am, so many big schools here. So his friend said, okay, come go and ask them, to go talk to them. I'll see you tonight. So he came back and Socrates was sitting there waiting for him. And he said, well, what did you find? You saw all these big people. And he said, it was amazing. He said, all of them are fools, but they think they know so much, And he said that I know I'm a fool. And he said, that's only the difference between them and me. And so I guess maybe I am the wisest man in Athens, that after 80 years, I figured out I'm a fool. Yeah, then we can actually learn something. So yeah, this, Hare Krishna, we hope that your opportunities for service, just go on increasing and keep on waking up. Wow.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. We need your blessing so we can keep going.
Yeah. Keep waking up. One time I had a tonsillectomy. My tooth also went, but when I was maybe 12 years old or something, my tonsils started, getting infected. So I went to the hospital, and then they, give you a little anesthetic and take you into the surgery room and give you real surgery. And then after the whole thing is over, you're coming out of the what's it called? The anesthesia. So they put you on a rolling bed and they take you into one room and maybe like 5, 6 more people were there lying there on the beds and recovering, And I was just lying there in the beginning. I was just kind of like a cockroach, I was experiencing the light and these things, but I had no consciousness. And so then I just kind of was pulling the mucus and the blood out of my mouth. And one nurse was sitting there watching everybody and reading her magazine. So she came over and wiped the blood off my hand and said, "The operation is over. You're in the recovery room." And I said, "Ah." I heard her. Then it happened again, and then she came over and said the same thing. "The operation is over. You're in the recovery room." And I said, maybe the third time I recovered enough, so I kind of began to understand what she was saying. Then I kind of raised my head a little bit and looked around, and some people were conscious enough to be taken out of there and taken back to their rooms. And other people were completely unconscious, So I'm here to tell you, the operation is over. You're in the recovery room.
Yes, Maharaj. I got the message.
Oh, right. Oh. So now it's time to leave your body. Yeah. Yeah. Why not? You have my blessing that you don't have to stay anymore.
One more year.
The Madhavi can go with you. Everybody can go. And you can go and go ahead and open up a motel in Goloka. So when we get there, we'll have some place to stay.
Yes.
Gershwari Motel Goloka. Yeah. Okay, let's do our class here. Okay.
Yes, Maharaj. Now you can begin your class, Maharaj. Yes.
If I can turn off my camera, that will save bandwidth. And can I share my screen? Yes, there it is. Okay. Okay, there's a fly trying to eat me.
You can remove the spotlight, Mataji Haribo.
Yeah.
Haribo Prabhuji. Yes, Maharaji is spotlight, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes.
Maharaj.
Okay.
Okay, Hanuman, we see Sita.
Sita.
Okay. So here we are with the Nectar of Instruction by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So some people say Prabhupada is the only Diksha Guru in ISKCON for the next 10,000 years. And some people say that I am the new Acharya. Prabhupada wants me to represent him to all of you. And so many things. But on every single one of Prabhupada's books, before you open the page, and he demanded on every single one of his temples, and all the letters that came out from the society, he was very strict about this. Somebody didn't put it on some letter or something, he chastised the devotee. "Oh, you want to take my position?" Yeah. So in the incorporation documents for ISKCON, it says that A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami will be the founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and nobody shall share or occupy or share this position during or after his lifetime. Very strict. So it's very clear what Prabhupada is. He's the founder, he makes the foundation, and he's the Acharya. He sets the example of character and everything else like that. Okay, so now we're with the Partsarthi Foundation, which if we speak Hindi is the Partsarthi Foundation. And also from our side, the Anjana Sutta Academy. And today is 2023, September 26th. And here we have very, very nice picture of Srila Prabhupada, facing everybody fearlessly. But behind him is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And we see that very clearly in the Nectar of Instruction. So today we're on text number, we have a little song we can sing here first. It's a very nice song. Okay. There it is. So I will sing. And actually, the devotees here can respond, and you can keep the microphones closed and sing along. Otherwise, it'll start creating a lag. Oh, hey, Vaishnava Thakur, Doyar Sagar, Ekdase Koruna Kore. Oh, hey. Vaishnava Thakur, Goya Sagar, Edase Koruna Kori. Diyapada Chaya, Kodoheya Maya, Kamara Charana Dori. Jaya Vega Domi, Jaya Dosha Shaudi, Jaya Guna Dehoda Jaya Sasanga, Deho He Amare, Boseti Sangara. Ekaki Amara, Vaipaya Bala, Harinama Sankirtane. Ekaki Amara, Vaipaya Bala, Harinama Sankirtane. To make Kripa Kori, Shwara Bindu Gaya, Deho Krishna Namadane. Krishna Ste Kumar, Krishna Dite Karo, Tomara Shakta Amito Kanga, Krishna Krishna Bali, Daitava Pate Vaishnava Thakur, Goyar Sagar, Edaste Karuna Kori. So, in the beginning, everybody called Prabhupada Swamiji. Then they asked him if they could call him Prabhupada. And he said, he still thought about it for some time. He said, yes, it is good. So many Prabhus are following me. But later they asked him if he could call him Thakur. And Prabhupada said, as we hear, it is too soon. So Thakur is really big title. Yeah. But Prabhupada says in Bengal, they call the cook Thakur. Because he's as good as God, right? Yeah. But so he's in our time is that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is addressing Vaishnava Thakur. And again, this is one of songs. There's maybe like it says up here, this is from Sharanagati, and maybe like three or four songs right with it. And they all talk about Upadeshamrita. Many of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs are just taking like the, what do you call it, 10 offenses or the Shikshastika, and making them into more contemporary songs. That's what he said. So you can make very nice songs. So, O Vaishnava Thakur, ocean of mercy, be merciful to your servant. Idasi Karuna Kori, make mercy. Okay. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. I'm sitting down next to you. And the next one, chaya means six. Right? On the Indian train, they go by saying chai. That means tea. Yeah. Ek, do, teen, char, panch, chai. Okay. So yeah, chaya bega, the six pushes. Help me dominate them. Chaya bega domi. Then okay, text number 2. Chaya dosha shodhi. Yeah. Purify me of the 6 faults. the doshas, achahara, prayasa, cha, overeating, chaya, guna, deho, dase. And then give the 6 good qualities to your devotee. Make your devotee a good man of quality, a woman of quality. Okay, so it's text 1, 2, 3. Chaya sattva sangha, yeah. The six kind, give me the 6 kinds of association. Giving and receiving gifts, talking about things confidentially, asking questions. That's text number 4, right? And 5 is also satsanga, how to associate, how to apply those with devotees. What kind of gifts do you give devotees? One time we had a program in Santa Cruz, California. It's like, down from the temple in San Francisco. And devotees had a really big house. And they had one vegetarian guy who was, renting a room there, nice guy. And so he saw everybody bringing like gifts for the deities and stuff. And he also wanted to bring something too. So he bought a big ice cold bottle of Budweiser beer, the king of beers. And we told him, well, Bob, Krishna doesn't drink beer. And he said, oh, I guess that's a pretty good idea and stuff. So yeah, he was, he was understanding what kind of gifts to give and what kind of things to talk about with different levels of devotee. Kanishta, Madhima, Uttamadikar. Then Boshechi Sangera Ashe. I want to sit down next to you. So this is the Uttamadikar, and that's text number 6. He just talking about how to associate with the Uttamadikar. And we have the opportunity with Prabhupada and then the Acharyas. If we go on singing these songs and following these things, we'll actually have an experience of Narottam and what he's thinking and things like that. And we can surrender to these completely. Ekaki Amara, all by myself. Nahi Paya Bala, I don't get the strength. Harinam Sankirtane, to do Harinam Sankirtane. Well, what is this? Text 7 and 8 then, they say, you should engage in Sankirtan. And if you do that, then you'll begin to experience the form of Krishna that is valid. And after that, you'll begin to see Krishna's qualities, the deity. Yeah. But he says, I can't do this all by myself. All I have to do is just chant Hare Krishna. Yeah. Tume Kripa Kori, give me one little drop of your mercy. Shadu Bindu Diya, one drop of your mercy. Deho Krishna Namadani. Then I can get this big treasure. Because all you have to do is just chant Hare Krishna. Yeah. Prabhupada said, we tell people, just chant Hare Krishna, and that's all you have to do. But he said, it's like telling somebody, go to the hospital and you'll be cured. Yeah, okay, walk in the hospital and, hey, I'm not cured, and walk out. Yeah, then you got to there's a big sign that says, welcome, come here. And you go over there and they say, hello, what's going on, this and that. And they say, okay, you should do this. And then, you go to the hospital and you'll be cured. But you got to go on staying in the hospital. There's so many details. That's what he's saying. I just can't do 7 and 8 by myself. See, if you give me mercy, then I'll be able to do it. Krishna say Tomara. Krishna is yours. Krishna Dite Paro. You can give Krishna to anybody you want. Our friend, what's his name? Paul Ignosa. Paul Ignosa was in Hawaii, Miami, Siddhavidya. Anyway, he described that when he was a young guy, maybe like 22 years old or something, he came into New York City from someplace, and he was part of the cool cultural scene and, going to avant-garde theaters and doing things and stuff like that. And pretty ethical, moral guy, but just really like experimenting. And so then one day he told me this, he heard this, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He said, oh, it's the Hare Krishnas. Because they were in like the local newspapers, the Village Voice and this kind of stuff. And then around the corner came all these boys and girls in pink bed sheets and stuff and jumping up and down in tennis shoes like that. And then in front of us was this one old Hindu man walking with a cane, looking very sober. So he said, oh, Hare Krishnas, And then he said they came in and Prabhupada looked at him, And he looked back at Prabhupada. And Prabhupada looked at him like that. And there was a total exchange. As soon as Prabhupada looked at him, he could see this person doesn't want to exploit me. I haven't got to be careful. And also his person is really deep. He knows something. He could just understand it. So he kind of like opened up. That was his level of development. So Prabhupada looked at him. And Prabhupada nodded, which meant, you're not happy. You should join us. And he responded, Yeah, which meant it's very clear. It was very clear understanding, which meant, yes, it's true, but I still have some more options. Like that, yeah, like that, And then Prabhupada responded, yeah. If they don't work out, we're here. And that was the bija for the rest of for 20, 30 years. He always remembered that, and it wasn't offensive, and he cultivated it. And eventually, he was in the temple there in Miami, and he still wasn't initiated. He was the video is good from a joke about him. We had it all figured out. He was going to take an initiation in his next lifetime. He used to call him because he'd go out every day with Harinam and so many things. He was the maintenance guy for the temple, fantastic work. Polygnosa. So Siddhavijaya used to joke with him, saying you're in the mode of ignosa. So anyway, then finally he wanted to take initiation. I got cancer of the face, and they messed it up with the surgery. It was starting to spread. He was dying. So very serious chanting. And he wanted to take initiation from me. And he was sitting chanting 16 rounds, and he was going to some support group locally. Somebody giving care, really impressed with his purity. So the temple president way over on that side of Maya, Florida, said, Maharaj, go ahead and do it. He hasn't been chanting 6 months, but he's really serious. So he gave him initiation as, something like that. Prahlad. And he left his body maybe about 4 months after that and so on. So I think it was okay. Temple president, even if I go to hell, the temple president will come with me. So make sure this is it. This is how to anybody. He probably just with a glance. And Prabhupada says it so many times. Just with a glance, and a charya like Prabhupada, Thakur, they can give Krishna to somebody, and he got him. Stuff. And well, how ready was he? He was ready enough to take it as something and keep it there and be venerable and be respectful. And eventually, of course, he started asking questions and that. So very, very nice song. It's very complete. You can give a whole lecture just on this song. And one time Prabhupada was giving a Janmashtami festival in Vrindavan at the Radha Damodar temple, himself. And there was a little program made up for the festival. He was organizing it. And the governor of Uttar Pradesh came as the chief guest. Prabhupada knew him, his friend. And basically, it was like a reception of the governor, okay? And then he had 2 songs in Bengali, and he sang those and gave a very nice explanation of each song, then comments by the governor, the distribution of prasad. That was the whole big program. It was 2 nice songs. And so, you can preach very nicely from songs. So Damodar Maharaj, and a very, very advanced cultural person, he organized a program in Manipur. He had many different programs. So one of them was Nupipal. Nupi means ladies. It's kind of Nupipal. So they would go. He would take all the wives of members of the Rotary Club, and these very cultivated ladies who were born in Brahmin families, everything else, and so forth. And they would become devotees. Then there would be the driver, one older man, and then 2 drummers, and all the rest were ladies. And they would go to places like the Lions Club and different functions, maybe ladies programs, and they would do that. They would sing songs and stuff and preach that way. It was very effective, very effective. In Ecuador, they had a program very similar. They would get invited to the governor's place and things like that. And they would come and they would bring saris, right? And they would, of course, all the ladies, they would go back and dress them all up in saris, and they would come out and stuff. It was a cultural conquest, complete cultural conquest. So this is getting the association to Vaishnava Thakur. Okay. Now I think here if I push escape, nothing will happen. Okay. How do I get rid of this? There we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we push the button here if you want to use my PowerPoint to show Ohi Vaishnava Thakur. What is unusual about this picture? Yeah, probably has 2 watches. And because you got 1 foot in the material world and 1 foot in the spiritual world. Yeah. Okay, so today's verse is number 8. So again, we'll chat it responsibly here. And you chat it responsibly at your houses with the microphones turned off. Tanama Rupa Charitade Sukirtananu. Smityo Kramena Rasana Manasi Myoja. Tishtan Raje Tadanuragi Jananugami. Alam Nayed Akalim Yati Padesh Sharam. So Hari Lila, show us your potency on your birthday. You chant and we'll respond.
Yes. Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu. Smrutyo Kramena Rasanama Nasi Niyojya. Isthan Vrajeta Dhanuragi Jananugami. Alam Nayeda Yakhilam Iti Upadesa Saram.
One of the ladies in the group?
Mihika.
Yes, Prabhu. Tannamarupa charitadi sukirtananu smrityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya tishtan vrajeta dhanuragi jananugami kalam nayedakhilam ityupadeshasaram.
Kalam Nayeda.
So Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada translates Rupa Goswami's essence. He says, Rupa Goswami says, and this is Jiva Goswami's birthday party, so he's very happy probably to see Rupa Goswami being discussed. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one full time, 24 hours a day. You should even dream about these things in nicely chanting and remembering. This is Kirtanam and Smarna, the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging the tongue and mind, right? Shmityo, Kramena, engaging Rasana, the tongue, Manasi, Niyoja, like yoga. In this way, one should reside in Braja, Goloka Vrindavanadam, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. Tishtan Braje, stay in Braja, Tad Anu Uragi, Anugami. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees, who are deeply attached to his devotional service. Now, the book itself is called Upadeshamrita, right? Which means the essence of all advice. But now this is the essence of all advice. Yeah. Okay. So it's very, very nice to contrast with text number, here's the word by word meaning. Let's skip over time. This is text number 7. So they're very similar. Krishna Nama Charitade Sitapi Avidya. Text number 8 is Tanama Rupa Charitade Sukirtananu. They're very close together. Okay. So number 7 was the holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet, like sugar candy. Yes. Although the tongue of one who is afflicted by jaundice, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet. It is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. So in the beginning, we're doing it because we have a little fear of going to hell, or we understand logically that I'm not the body. There's Sankhya and some descriptions and beginning of Bhagavad Gita. So somehow or other, we're following. Okay. And then we're doing it. And he's saying if you do this, like as the Acharya says, chant Hare Krishna early in the morning, chant Hare Krishna while you follow his 4 principles, then autumn, what happens? The carefully say a natural relish. This is ruchi, those sadha, sadhu sangha, bharshani, kriyanartha, ruchi. Yeah, yeah. And the disease is gradually destroyed at the root, Tagaramulahantri. Chanika Pandit says 3 things go to a rapid destruction. You know what they are? Trees on the bank of a river. You know, when the big river comes and the rainy season comes, they just get washed away, and all the cobras in the trees just get carried away. Trees in the bank of a river, a king without counselors, these with rapid destruction, and a woman in the house of some man other than the husband's. These 3 go to a rapid destruction. Chandika Pandit said it's very rare to find a poor man who is completely honest. That's the 3 of them. I can't remember the other one. Yeah. And to find a beautiful young girl who is completely chaste. Read these things, it's like, yep. It's like, you know, very, very nice. He was, Prabhupada said Chandika Pandit was the greatest politician who ever lived, but also a Mayavadi. So that's okay. So we take his advice, you know, carefully. As Prabhupada is giving it to us. But it misses the point. If we go on chanting and following the process, even though externally our habits and characteristics may not change so much, okay, we become like devotees. Buddhimanta, but the biggest first person to distribute 100 big books in one day. Yeah, he 100 big books in one day. And he came back to Prabhupada's room and Prabhupada said, I've got somebody to tell Prabhupada, really important. The secretary said, Prabhupada doesn't want to see anybody now. He's translating. They want to hear about this. You can't go in. So he jumped over the desk. He's a Sankirtan guy. And ran in, and Prabhupada looked up and said, what is it? He said, Prabhupada, I just distributed 100 of your big books in one day. And he said, Prabhupada was just amazed. He was looking around for some gift to give him. He didn't have anything. So he took his shirt off and gave it to him. He said, thank you. Okay, job. Okay. Yeah, yeah. And he died of throat cancer. Died of cancer of the brain at like 38 years old. Because he was really passionate. He was from Nashville. Bhakti Bringa Maharaj, they knew each other before they became devotees. And he was like this guy, everybody was afraid he would beat everybody up. A really heavy guy, you know. So my God. Yeah. So remembered him. So anyway, so he was, when he became a devotee, he just connected all of these things up with Krishna. He didn't become any less passionate or anything in any way, but it was within range. He showed me one time, we said, stop there. We stopped in front of a liquor store. He ran inside, came up with a big ice cold, you know, bottle of 7-Up, big 1 full liter. And he drank the entire thing in one breath. I just watched him. Yeah. He said, if I hadn't been a devotee, this would have been beer. People do that. I mean, it's bad enough. If you really have any kind of medical science, you know that drinking 1 ice cold bottle of 7-Up is, you know, it's like bad enough. But it's within the range. Kshatriyas have a motto. Everyone has a motto, right? For Shudras, their motto is, it's a good day when I don't get killed. Motto. You know, for Kshatriya, one of their mottos is, how does it go? Yeah. Live fast, die young, and have a good-looking corpse. This is the Kshatriya. Death before dishonor. Yes, everybody has their dharma. It's really different. So anyway, he was showing us example that, you know, you Krishna can adjust your karma to some degree, but what happens is that once you get connected to devotional service, I mean, he distributed more. I don't know how many books he distributed in his lifetime and how many other people he engaged, but it's just like unlimited number. He just couldn't go without distributing a book. Vrindavan was driving him in a convertible one time to the festival in New Vrindavan. And he said Buddhimanta hadn't distributed the book for like 2 hours. He was just going crazy, you know. So it's so funny. They stopped at the stoplight. There was a big wall there with ivy going over. And Buddhimanta just grabbed the book and jumped over and climbed over the wall. He was watching this, you know. The other side was like a place for old people. So he came down there. There was one old lady sitting in her wheelchair, and her nurse, and here's this guy dropping out of the sky. And he told her, I've already come to give you something that's so important. And you should have your nurse read it to you every day a little bit, and please take it. No, this is, she gave him the money. You can, in the car, all the cars started learning to light turn green, all the people are honking, and then Buddhimanta's hand comes over and he goes down to $10 and be off they go. I mean, this was true. It was just, his whole life was like this. You know? But he was, again, you know, well, once we can get within the range of devotional service, pure devotional service, once you can follow the 4 principles and chant 16 enthusiastic rounds a day, don't really worry about what is your, you know, am I male, am I female, am I brown, red, yellow, blue, or green, am I a child or whatever. Just, you know, yeah, always choose the option of devotional service. And everything else, Okay, women are this intelligent, okay? Men are this intelligent, but devotees are this intelligent. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, am I a man or a woman? Yeah, I'm a man. Okay. Yeah. So as soon as you become a devotee, everything else is just, it's there. You got to deal with it. Yeah, but it's just not important because now everything can be related to Krishna. Okay. So that's number 7. But by chanting Hare Krishna, what do we got here? Chant Hare Krishna, worship the deity, read the Krishna book, Nama Rupa Charit. Yeah, yeah. And then you'll actually get to this platform of Nishta and Ruchi, right? The Ruchi will start to come, and automatically you're already liberated. You know? So text number 8 says then that by doing the same thing, you continue with the same process, and then you gradually in this way engage your tongue and mind, always there. Yeah. And what happens? Then you can actually reside in Vrindavan. You know, how's it go? What was the verse one? Goranga Bolite Habe. It's quoted right in the preface. One of the 2 songs that Prabhupada puts in the entirety of this whole book. Arakabe Nitai Chan Koruna Hoibe Sangsara Mora Basana Kabe Tucha Habe. Then he says, then I'll actually be able to see Vrindavan. You know, when I come to that level, I'll actually be seeing Vrindavan. And then you get the mercy of the Manjaris. You can understand Radha and Krishna. So very complete song also, very complete. It's unfortunate that I can't remember it, but we're trying to make up a little Vaishnava verse book based upon Upadeshamrita so you can refresh these things. But that's what it says. And by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, your material distress and material life diminishes. And then when it's gone away and your mind is also liberated, then you can experience Vrindavan. So you're residing in Vrindavan by absorbing your tongue and mind. Yeah, Rasana Manasi, like that. Okay. And then, you can serve Krishna under the guidance. So this is Raga, Anuga, devotion. A Raga, Raga, Anuga. Raga, taste, flavor, Ruchi. Anu, afterwards, Ga, going. You're going after the flavor. A Raganuga devotee follows a Ragatmika devotee, whose very Atma is Raga. There was a misprint in the Nectar of Devotion, which was it actually was supposed to be Ragatmika, but it said Raganuga, and everybody was so confused. But then the actual verse is right there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Prabhupada translates it directly that way. Because people were thinking that Raganuga was the humor of the Brisbasis directly. No, it says Ragatmika. So he's saying, you serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. Mai Bhakti Bhutanam Amritat Vaya Kalpate. Madishnya, I can't remember the rest of it. That's what I gave on Rath Yatra. Krishna tells the gopis that my Bhakti Bhutanam. Anybody who does my bhakti, Amritat Vaya Kalpate, will go to Amrita, Vaikuntha. But then for Goloka, you need another kind of bhakti. And even for the Leela avatars like Ramachandra, it starts to become a little more than just Vaikuntha or Amrita. So it's very nice. He's coming to the point in the purport, then Prabhupada's going to talk about this. Well, what should we know after we come to Raganuga Bhakti? Time you come to Raganuga Bhakti, you don't need any kind of explanation because you're so much in touch with the super soul, and Krishna's coming to you in so many ways, like that one after another, that now, you read the books and everything else, but now it's just Krishna personally talking to you, and this is what I should be reading, and it's just you do everything that everybody else does the same way, pretty much, Acharya, but it's how you do it. You look at this person's back. I remember always Miami. It was again one very kind of tall, nice Mataji. It was just a Gora Arti because she was doing the Arti, and I was just realizing, my gosh, she just, she Goswami, and everything else in the summer. I don't know who she was, but it was just offering the Arti and stuff. You could see that she was completely, pacified and Sudasattva, and she was doing it to Krishna, like offering the Arti to Krishna. But everybody else, what's going on? Yeah, the operation is over. You're in the recovery room. Yeah. And so you begin to see how these things are happening. So, any questions or comments at this point? Yes, over here.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaji, for a.
No, we're taking questions from the audience now.
Yes, Maharaji. So I
Okay.
request to
No,
everyone, if any.
we have an audience here. We have an audience here too. Yeah. So let me,
Okay.
I will repeat this is Anadi Radha Devi Dasi in Boise, Idaho is asking a question and I'll repeat it. Or you can even come closer and ask it here. Okay, she's coming closer. Okay, yes. Talking a little bit number 3.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I was wondering, you had mentioned 3 different words, and I'm hoping to understand what all of them mean. So there's Ragatmika, Raganuga, and Rupanuga. So could you explain the differences?
Ga means go, I understand. Hardly there's a big Sanskrit actually. Ga means to go. Anuga, going after. So Rupanuga are those who follow Rupa Goswami. Yes, okay. And then that's just who we're following. Some people say we are Prabhupada Nugas. But Prabhupada never said that himself. He was Rupanugas and so on. But that's okay, yeah. And you find many people who claim to be Gaudiya Vaishnavas, but there's so many different groups claiming to be followers of Lord Chaitanya. But we specifically say, Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam, that verse establishes that Rupa Goswami is the Acharya, as far as we're concerned. Yeah. And so we're Rupa Anugas, Anuga. Then Rag Anuga is going after the flavor. Because now you're not just following the rules and regulations for different purposes or this kind of thing, but now you actually can understand the humor of the thing. Okay. And then Raga Atmika, Atma, yeah, their very soul is Raga. They're not trying to acquire it, to go after it or something like that, but now they've, yeah. And so Raga Nuga is still a part of sadhana bhakti, still practicing. But the first part is Vaidhi Bhakti, where you're practicing following the rules and regulations. We discussed this morning, sorting them out. But at a certain point, you can actually then follow. You're sitting with your piano teacher. You're trying to do the scales, and or some song, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Da 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 da. And you're kind of struggling along to follow the thing like that. Your piano teacher comes along and says, "Hey, you're doing good. You're doing good. I'll play the violin and on the song, and you play along with me." So when your piano teacher is playing, you can do it. You can get right into it and stuff and it's like that. So when you got like somebody who's got the raga, you're in that level where you can imitate them. It's not imitating to enjoy Krishna's form. It's imitating to serve Krishna's form. Yeah. Prabhupada says we all have to learn the little art of crying for Krishna. Yeah, we're imitating, but we're imitating the right thing in it. That with the right proportion that stimulates it. Everybody knows this. You just start acting something out, and it will stimulate the real thing. Okay. So now, from our online audience here, Anaji, please excuse us. Yeah.
Mihika, you can unmute yourself and ask the questions, Mihika.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the educating class on verse 8. So Maharaj, how you said as the second point is that in this way one should reside in Braj, Gokul, Vrindavan Dham and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. So like I've heard that we should not stay more than 3 days in Vrindavan. And the reason is that we might make a Vaishnava Prad. So like if we don't stay, like if we're not getting a chance to go to Vrindavan or stay more, so like is that okay, or should we like not just stay for 3 days and we can stay longer?
I understand. Okay, yeah. No, it's a very, 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 very important point. One time Prabhupada said, go to Vrindavan, control your senses, and stay as long as you can. And when you start to lose control of your senses, get out. Yeah, because it's a very, if we break the king's law someplace in the city, okay, then there's some reaction. But if we're offensive to the king directly, hey, this is a whole bigger deal, like that. Yeah. So that's what's happening. It's very dangerous very powerful, Vrindavan Dham, but it's very dangerous. So that's it. Different people are ready to live in Vrindavan. Basically, if you can live in an ISKCON temple, Prabhupada says Prabhupada says every corner of our temples is Vaikuntha. So in the temple there, you have to follow the 4 principles. There's a regular standard, and you're worshiping the deity as the center of all the activities and so on. So basically, if you come to that point where you can live in an ISKCON temple, then you're ready to live in Vaikuntha. And also then Prabhupada establishes for us, he established exactly for that purpose, Krishna Balaram Mandir, so that for European people and people from the outside can come and stay there. Because the Brijbasis are on a whole other level. One devotee, Veda Vyas, he was French-Canadian, and he was a young, proud brahmachari, distributing so many books in his first year and getting initiated. Okay, so the devotees from Canada were going to Vrindavan, and he went along with them because he was a big book distributor that year. So he got to the Krishna Balaram temple, and he checked into their rooms, and he thought, okay, I'm going to go out and distribute books now. So he took some books, and he went through the front gate of our Krishna Balaram temple, and there were all these people going by left and right, all these shops. And he stopped some Brijbasi guy, and he showed him a picture in the book, and he said, this is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Brijbasi guy looked at it, and he said, well, here he's actually one of us, and walked away. And there was so much absolute certainty and conviction, and just like, he said he was just terrified, shocked. He was like a little dog has his tail up and a big dog growls at him, his tail goes straight down. He says, that's what it was. He basically almost ran back across the street. And when he was looking out through the bars and on the fence at people going by there, and had this realization that, these people are on a whole other level. And so, then we take shelter of devotees and stuff, and they take us on parikramas and so on. Because otherwise, Vrindavan is just, it's mad. If you know Vrindavan, there are everything there. Murderers and robbers, and they're all Brijbasis. Is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much for the answer. Hare Krishna.
And you can make your home into a temple also. And then making you also living in Vaikuntha.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
What time is it?
Anybody have questions? Please raise your.
I can go on with a little more of the text if you want me to, or we can answer questions, either one.
Yes, ma'am, you can continue.
Continue? Okay.
Okay,
So here's Prabhupada's purport. Okay. He says, since the mind may be one's enemy or one's friend, and of course, this is Bhagavad Gita 6, one has to train the mind to become his friend. The Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for distributing a lot of books and collecting a lot of money and making life members. No, I did this for my Vyasa Puja offering one year. I went through and took all the things that Prabhupada says in the Upadeshamrita. Maybe like 6 times he defines what ISKCON is about. It's for people who have not forgotten Krishna, to remind people. It's giving these loving exchanges. And it was very nice, but it's meant for making friends, as that's before that. We belong to the institution, and we support the institution, everything else. But behind that, another level, the gopis do it with their friends. So we're making friends like that. And again, somebody who may be a very, very big political leader, and somebody who's not politically inclined, doesn't have whatever the qualifications, maybe his closest friend. Some guy may be always in government offices, right? His whole career, because he's such a qualified person. And he has one guy who's his chauffeur or driver, but that's actually his closest friend. They go out and talk about things, and the other guy is very, he knows his position. Like Hanuman. Hanuman is Dasya and little Sakya. So his chauffeur is like driving his boss around, and he said, what did that man say to you today? Yesterday you said he said that. What did he say, sir? And he's, you should do this. But he's always, So that we begin to understand that first thing is, externally the gopis were paying their taxes, milking cows, But then they would start talking about amongst themselves, their friends. Yeah? And the final level was that every gopi had a personal experience of Krishna, of course, through Radharani or through so many things like that. The Manjaris would bring, there's the first initiation, second initiation, third initiation, 14th initiation, 279,450th initiation. 279,450th initiation is when you get a cookie directly from the lips of Krishna. Now you belong to the club. Yeah, it's like, yeah, but so there's different, but the experience is parampara. Prabhupada was in his, on the Asasan in Berkeley when he was there. A few times I saw him. And I was in the kitchen, my apron, everything else, cooking for the Shringar Artik. And the kirtan was after the Guru Puja was after the class. So the Guru Puja was going on, everybody was screaming and yelling, and all the cookies were there for Prabhupada to give out. Nobody was coming for them. So myself, as barely initiated, I came out, I was going to hand them to somebody. But everybody was just completely fanatically absorbed in Prabhupada, so I kept getting closer. And finally, Tamal Krishna Maharaj pushed me. Yeah. And I was suddenly in front of Prabhupada, holding his cookies up. He's looking down at me like with my apron on there. And I was afraid the fire was going to come from his eyes. He was going to annihilate me or something. But by the mercy of Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and maybe one other time, I knew I did some direct service to Krishna, to Prabhupada. Okay, so it didn't burn me alive. So I can tell you that. But all I got out of it was I lived through it. So yeah. By so many via media, we have a direct experience of Krishna. It's to the via media, but it's direct experience. Yeah. Okay. And so in ISKCON, we should have a direct experience of Prabhupada. To so many via media. And Prabhupada knows you, and you know Prabhupada, and you know what he wants you to do and that kind of stuff. And maybe that's enough for today. I'll go like yeah. Okay. So the Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for training the mind to be always engaged in Krishna's service. And after a while, you won't like to do anything else. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajati ante kalevaram tam tamevate kontaya sadatad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever bhava, whatever state of being one remembers, smaranam, meditates on, contemplates, when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. At the time of death, the mind and intelligence of a living entity create the settled form of a certain type of body for the next life. If the mind suddenly thinks of something not very congenial, one has to take that body. Like that. I'm trying to move my thing here. I can't do it. Okay. And then they'll take their birth the next life. On the other hand, if one can think of Krishna at the time of death, this is not just like superficially, this is a smarnam, he can be transferred to the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. This process of transmigration is very subtle, therefore Rupa Goswami advises devotees to train their minds in order that they will be unable to remember anything other than Krishna. And after a while, everything keeps reminding you of Krishna and festivals and things like that. You taste the water, the fragrance of the earth, the smell of the lights of the sun. Yeah. Okay. So this is Prabhupada's comment on this verse. Okay. Similarly, the tongue should be trained only to speak of Krishna and taste Krishna prasad. Rupa Goswami further advises, okay, here's the second part then. Tishtan Braje, that one should live in Vrindavan or any part of Vrindavan, Brajabhumi, or the land of Vrindavan, the Brajabhumi. The land of Vrindavan is supposed to be 84 kroshas in the area. 1 krosh equals 2 square miles. When one makes Vrindavan his residence, he should take shelter of an advanced devotee there. In this way, one should always think of Krishna and his pastimes. And so here's the Braja Mandala and all these places that you can see, have maps of these places, each village, maybe 84 or 50 villages. And every single one of them has a different pastime, a tradition, a festival, like that. And Vrindavan is just, even to this day, full of all these things. And there are, from the Goswami's times, instructions of how to do the Brajmana Parikrama, visit all these places. And so they're all revived, they're all constant. And if you're a devotee, you can start taking advantage of this. Yeah. So that's a good point. Okay. We'll finish here. Rupa Goswami says also, Sevaka Sada Karupena, Siddha Rupena Chatrahi, Hadbhava Lipshuna Karya, Vraja Lokanusharataha. In the transcendental realm of Vraja, one should serve the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna with a feeling similar to that of his associates. One should place himself under the direct guidance of a particular associate of Krishna and should follow in his footsteps. This is all a part of the section of Sadhana Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti. 2 verses, and Prabhupada quotes both of them. And these are the only 2 verses apparently which really talk about Raganuga Bhakti so clearly. This method is applicable both in the stage of sadhana, spiritual practice is executed while in the stage of bondage, Raganuga, and in the stage of sadhya, God realization, when one is a Siddha Purusha, or a perfect spiritual being, a perfect soul. So after we become, it was good for training us, and after we're purified, then also we go on the same way. We go on the same way. We're taking shelter of Lalita, taking shelter of our group, and so many devotees. And the ultimate issue, we're trying to take shelter of everybody. And I think we can stop here. Let me see. Okay. So the next week, like that, Srinath Krishnadas can go ahead and start with Bhakti Siddhanta has commented on this verse as follows. So practically speaking, you'll see every single verse. The second half is Bhakti Siddhanta's Anuvritti. Like that. So it's such a complete book. It has the Anuvritti in it. It has then all these Prabhupada's own realization, practically speaking, and all these Acharya verses. And this, it's a summary of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a complete science like that. So now, any final comments or questions?
Thank you so much for giving such an nectarian class about Tan Nama Rupa Charitari Sukirtananu. Very nice. So we have a question from Harivallabi Dasi. Please unmute yourself and ask the questions.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Happy Jiva Goswami's birthday to you. My question is, when Srila Rupa Goswami is advising us to take guidance of a devotee whose bhava we want to acquire, how is that practically possible, and where do we draw the line of going into sahajiya mentality from that point on?
Basically, if we have to ask this question, we're not ready. And that's what it means. One devotee, I got his name now. He was in Calcutta, and because of the drafting, he went to India, and he was describing he was in Calcutta and visiting the temple and so many things, and he gone out and was visiting different Gaudiya Math, and Prabhupada usually was strict about the devotees, chastising them, but apparently he would seem like he was good, knew what he was doing and so on. So he said, Prabhupada, I heard about Siddha Pranali initiation, and it's basically that then the guru reveals to your form, you are so-and-so manjari, you look like this and that, and meditate on this and that. So it's kind of like Raganuga Bhakti. But Bhakti Siddhanta, right in the Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada quotes him as saying this is unauthorized. They were giving it, Prabhupada said with one hand they were smoking bidis, the other hand they were singing the Gopinath Bhajan, And so yeah, but now they've changed now because of Prabhupada and ISKCON. Now this group is much more strict. But that's the point, And so Prabhupada said, I will give it to you when you are ready. But basically initiating Raganuga and starting to guide person in these internal feelings. But then he said, well, Prabhupada, what if you're not here when I'm ready? And then Prabhupada said, whether I'm here or not, when you're ready, I'll give it to you. So that the answer is, yeah, that it's when we become Goswaminis, we're following the principles and everything nicely and strictly and getting up and, and so on. And we can see, okay, I've come through, and now I'm in Nishta, I'm always chanting, probably there's a description, always getting up, and it's starting to actually get a taste for chanting. Okay, and that's when it's there. In the beginning, our taste is like, I'm getting a taste, but it's actually liberation. We're getting a taste of being free from all this suffering and everything else. But ruchi is when you're actually chanting and you're actually getting some experience, and you want to go on chanting, and you begin to distinguish which service you want to do. And some people, Prabhupada says, some people are naturally Ram Bhaktas, some people are actually, whatever Bhaktas. And then you actually start to consider these things and so on. Yeah, that's kind of one description. Yeah. So we go on and we start to see that the taste is coming, and you can see, because you're already above everything else, and you can see I'm following, I'm chanting, I'm liberated, and this and that. And you do. At some point, I realized I was liberated. I was just, even if my mind started to fall into some kind of problem like that, my intelligence was purified, and that's what would automatically bring me back to Krishna consciousness. And I was a little shocked. I was behind the table in the Bhaktivedanta Institute, 84 Carl Street upstairs, and suddenly at one point I realized I'm always happy. It was like, oh, yeah. And so this is it. Na stochati na kangshati. And we start to see the description of Shastra. We associate with devotees in Prabhupada's books, and we can find out. And he says, everybody you should know. Text number, I think it's 6 or something. No, where is it? Maybe this text. I think it's this text. Yeah. It'll say later on that one should be able, no, it was the other one. One should be able to discriminate different devotees on different levels like that. And one should know what level you're on. So that all the people you're dealing with, Diksha gurus and everybody else, you should know, are they Kanistadikari, Madhyamadikari, Uttamadikari? And I should be able to, Prabhupada says, you should know yourself. And the descriptions of Shastra is there. And you can see, okay, I'm like this and like that. And in the beginning, if you can't distinguish very well, that means you're Kanistadikari. Yeah. Later on, you see, oh yeah, this is that person is there. And I'm coming to a level where I can just kind of distinguish these devotees are very high, but I can't really tell, who's more advanced, whatever. But they don't need to know that. You need to take first initiation. You just be able to need to distinguish if somebody is himself on that level. And chanting 16 rounds and following 4 principles nicely. To become Goswami or Goswamini, you need to necessarily distinguish this person as, and so many descriptions are there in Prabhupada's books and stuff. As we go on, we begin to appreciate, we see things, and okay, and that's, in the beginning, it's all sadhana bhakti, okay? And it's like the starter motor on the car. Okay, then you realize that wasn't the starter motor. I was out on book distribution. I'm being compassionate, controlling my mind and stuff. And at some point, I actually felt real compassion. And that's not that's actually the beginning of Baba Bhakti and stuff, And so then it's obvious at that point. Yeah. Okay, so I want to maybe thank everybody. And again, wish Hari Lila a very spiritual life, and maybe if he leaves his body today, Haribol!
So much.
Madhavi can come too. Yeah. But Jaina can't come yet. She has to stay and do some more work.
So if anybody have a question, there's the last call. If you would like to ask questions, otherwise we can end the call here.
That's it.
Okay, with your permission, Maharaj, you would like to close the call here. His Holiness Honorable Visak Swami Maharaj ki
Jai.
Pad ki
Jai.
Swami
Jai.
ki
Jai.
Kalpatubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya eva cha
Vaishnavebhyo namaha.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Lila Prabhu, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you
Hare
so much,
Krishna.
Maharaji. Dandavat pranam. Thank you so much, Maharaji, for an
Thank you, Maharaj.
of the devotees. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Wishing a very happy Krishna conscious birthday again. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Wish you a very happy birthday.
Thank you.